Welcome back to this edition of Grizzlies Daily. I'm your host, Melek. And before we jump straight into it, just want to say I appreciate all the support you guys have been showing to the channel. It's been major love, so I couldn't thank y'all more for that. I think we actually just reached 1,200 subscribers, so I really appreciate y'all for that. So if you are new to us, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you get notified when this video comes out and you can join our family. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, make sure to give us a follow and a 5-star review. Really helps the channel grow, so I couldn't thank y'all enough for that. Now, let's talk about it. Grizzlies played their first summer league game, and oddly enough, their roster actually came out, and the roster, the roster is kind of insane. I can't lie. The roster is kind of insane, but it makes a lot of sense, and I'm going to explain why. So, just real quick, the roster came out, I want to say the day before the game. So the summer league roster consists of obviously Cameron Boozer, consists of Tyler Burton, Walter Clayton Jr., Zach Cleveland, Carson Cooper, Cedric Howard, Brendan Housen, Taylor Hendricks, Kareem Lopez, Lawson Loveren, Jemai Meshack, Justin Porter, Javon Porter, Olivier Maxence Prosper, and Javon Small. So, as you can see, that is a juggernaut of a roster, but it makes sense because some of these names that I just said, they are going to be in the rotation. So it makes a lot of sense for them to be on this summer league roster, getting reps up, getting 5-on-5 going, and then overall just building chemistry. Now, as far as the game goes, the Grizzlies actually dominated the Thunder. Like, the game was not close. They dominated 111-74. Just off rip, Cam Boozer in 24 minutes, 15 points, 7 of 11 for the field, 1 of 3 from 3, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and only 2 turnovers. I liked what I saw from him. I liked that he looked really, really comfortable on the court. And then out the gate, just straight up, just, all the talks of his athleticism, things like that. The first play, he dunks on the Damar. Like, I'm like, okay, cool. That's real good because, a lot of people talk about his athleticism. Even I was talking about his athleticism at one point. But a lot of Grizzlies did look good. You got Taylor Hendricks, who looked really good. In only 12 minutes, scored 15 points. He did majority of that, I think in the first quarter, honestly. Olivier Maxence Prosper, 23 minutes, 17 points. Javon Small, 21 minutes, 11 points. 3 of them were threes. He went 3 for 3, 2 rebounds, 9 assists, and then 2 steals. Then you got people off the bench, Carson Cooper with 11, Jemai Meshack with 12, and then Tyler Burton had 3, but Tyler Burton not really shooting the ball well. Cedric Howard, 25 minutes, 11 points, didn't really shoot that well, 8 rebounds, a couple of turnovers, and then 2 blocks. I really think Cedric Howard is just getting comfortable again, so I'm not really sweating this. Really, I'm not sweating anything. I'm not sweating any of these performances. Like, I'm not like, oh, you know what, this is the reason, all this and that. No, this is all potential in this summer league. So I'm going to hold the horses when it comes to that. I just realized my light is not on. So y'all, okay, there we go. But yeah, as I'm not going to, be too overreactive of summer league. Now, granted, there are some people that think summer league is just ridiculous. You shouldn't take it serious at all. I don't believe those people. I don't believe in people that think like that, and overall just don't agree with them. But just talking about some things, obviously, I think Cam Boozer looks nice. I think he is proving why he was, picked highly and probably should have been picked higher. So that's why I'm like, he's got that chip on his shoulder. Cedric Howard, when it comes to the shooting and things like that, I really think he was just kind of trying to, be that person that kind of was the main guy, and it just didn't work. One thing I did notice from Cedric, though, it looked like he added on a good amount of muscle in the offseason. So maybe that could be a reason for his shooting being the way that it is. And I absolutely think he can get adjusted to that. So I'm not really sweating it. Javon Small is proving why he could easily be a rotation point guard. And honestly, if he continues to play like that going into the season, I could see why the Grizzlies were like, hey, you know what? We don't even need to draft a point guard. So if he can keep that up and find a way to do it, then I can rock with it. Taylor Hendricks, Olivier Maxence Prosper, I really like what I'm seeing from them. Even Carson Cooper, I like what he's doing. So overall, very good first game. The Grizzlies actually do play again tonight. I believe it gets the Jazz at 8 o'clock. So definitely going to be tuned into that. But as far as summer league goes, there are a couple of takeaways because I did mention this roster. Now, before we move on completely, I do just want to point out that the reason I didn't say Kareem Lopez or Walter Clayton Jr. in that in the box score is because it's from Drew Hill of the Daily Memphis. He says, per team spokesperson, The Grizzlies will have the full Summer League roster available, other than, well, it was ahead of the game against the Thunder, but he basically said they had a full roster available other than Kareem Lopez, who has a mild left hamstring strain during the pre-draft process, and then Walter Clayton Jr. had a mild right knee sprain. So they are both out for the Utah Salt Lake Summer League, and they'll reevaluate come time for Vegas. Which, hey, look, I'm not too pressed about that. It's, hey, look, I think that's just minor injuries that could recover from. So, but possibility we could maybe not see Kareem Lopez in Summer League, which will kind of be a bummer. But overall, with this roster being on Summer League, once again, shout out to Coach Vaughn. He honestly makes it very easy to kind of break down what to look for and what we're looking at. But when it comes to the Summer League roster, he did outline 5 headlines to watch for this Summer League. He said there's a position battle, obviously, between Walter Clayton Jr. and Javon Small. I mean, I'm be honest, going into it, I had Javon Small being the person, and right now I still have Javon Small being that person. He's improved this game a lot, being a small guard. Very efficient, very good when it comes to the pick and roll, and overall good at distributing the ball. That's something that's very important. He has a very low assist and turnover rate, so very good from him. And then, he said it right here in the tweet, he overachieved in his rookie season, so that's good. And then obviously, Walter Clayton Jr., he's just got a lot to prove again, because rough rookie year. I mean, it's going to be rough for anybody. You get traded your rookie year, things like that, development scheme changes, all that good stuff. So I definitely get it. There's another position battle. There's a couple position battles to look out for. The next one being Jemai Mashack versus Zach Cleveland. Both are pretty good forwards, very good defensive, things like that. He says Mashack brings elite defense, toughness, and connective play. Cleveland offers positional versatility, rebounding, and offensive field. Ultimately, it'll come down to which archetype Memphis values more at the back end of the rotation. So those are his words. I agree with them. And then the third position battle is Lawson Lovren versus Carson Cooper. This is going to be essentially who probably gets picked for that emergency center spot, because we do have 2 on the roster in Zach Edey and Isaiah Stewart. And right now, I mean, we know about Lawson Lovren. We know his ability to, be a center because of his size, the ability to protect the rim. And then he has a sneaky little, assist game or something like that. So I definitely get that. Carson Cooper, on the other hand, got athleticism, physicality, rebounding, of course, things like that. And he also noted very good screen setter. So that's something that I'm definitely looking out for in Summer League. I really liked how Carson Cooper looked. He definitely showed what the film showed, and that's something that ultimately, to me, is a good sign, because you definitely want guys to keep it consistent going into the next level. And right now, it's looking like Carson Cooper is doing a good job of really doing that. And then the biggest storyline is, according to him, Memphis didn't build the Summer League roster to simply participate. They built it to compete while simultaneously stress testing every role player archetype around their young core. And that's really what it is. I mean, look, when that roster came out, I'm like, okay, we built a super team. But it makes a lot of sense, because, like I said, a lot of these guys, I'm looking at it right now, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 9 out of these guys, 9 out of 15 guys that ultimately could play away in the rotation. So it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense for this roster to be the way it is, and I think the Grizzlies are ultimately doing Summer League the proper way, and I actually really, really appreciate that. So moving forward, today is actually the deadline for deals to be made official, deals and trades. And really, it's just the ultimate test of what's next for the Grizzlies. I'm trying to find it right now. But, yeah, it's just really like what's next for the Grizzlies going forward. Obviously, the Grizzlies making some trades. You got, obviously, the Ja Morant trade. You got, what else? You got the Isaiah Stewart deal. And then you got Santi Aldama being traded for A.J. Johnson, things like that. So that's ultimately, I think, why we did not see A.J. Johnson be added to the Summer League roster. I think it's because that deal has to still be made official. So that's probably why we haven't seen him. But as far as what's next for the Grizzlies, Like I said, not really too sure, but at least these trades do give them a good picture of what, how the roster looks, what assets they have, and things like that, and ultimately how they can move forward. And there are a couple names that, I think I could see the Grizzlies potentially going after, or just names, circling around, and the Grizzlies just kind of, floating the idea. I don't think anything, nothing has come out officially. But, I mean, obviously, we talked about Casey Wallace being a guy that, could, you could make a deal for, because as of now, an extension is still not signed. So you definitely could, in a way, figure something out for sure when it comes down to that. And then, you got a name that I did not expect the Nuggets to really just, let free, essentially. But the Denver Nuggets are open to signing and trading Peyton Watson. Now, the only thing about Peyton Watson is bit of an injury. He dealt with a bit of injury last year, this past season. And just being real, I really got no problem with it. Now, obviously, that's another wing. But I say, honestly, I'd take Peyton Watson over Jeremy Grant. I mean, look, you got defense. You got, the ability to finish, drive, things like that. I think ultimately if it came down to that. And then, he got a sneaky shot. Not the greatest, but he got a sneaky shot. So I do that. The only thing I wish when it comes down to Peyton Watson we don't do is overpay. That's absolutely something I do not want us to do. So hopefully something like that doesn't happen. But ultimately, those are just a few names that I see floating around. Another name that I actually, another name that was floating around to me was Russell Westbrook. Only problem with that is, do you really need another guard like that? So that's the real thing about that. But I would say you would be able to bring him on a veterans minimum. But you do got that large trade exception, and right now I have no idea how the Grizzlies plan to use that. Hopefully they do use it. I definitely think you're sitting on the duck if you don't use it. So hopefully Zach Kleiman can find a way to get a good player when it comes down to that. But right now, there is no telling what the expectation is at this point. But I do expect more deals to be done because, like I said, you do have to trim that roster. And I really don't think the Grizzlies are done yet. So if they are, if a deal does happen, y'all know I'll bring it to y'all. But for right now, I'm not seeing any reports that say something's going to happen, so we just kind of being on the lookout at this point. Now, real quick, just want to get into some of the comments because, like I said, y'all show major love to the channel. We actually, like I told y'all at the beginning, we actually reached, 1.2 thousand subscribers, so couldn't thank y'all enough for that. Y'all actually showed major love to the last video. So let's read some of the comments right here. Top comment. Y'all really sleeping on a second-year Javon Small. Watch and learn this summer league, and he will become the Grizzlies' next franchise point guard. I'm calling it right now. I mean, look, he looked good. I can't lie, he looking good. It's just a matter of, can he keep it up? Can he find a way to, make himself impactful, especially being a small guard? We know he has a knack for the ball when it comes to the steals, but just really, 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 ending all that skepticism regarding being a small guard or what he can bring to the table. So I like what I saw the first game. Hopefully we see more of it tonight. Next comment. Audio is much better. I'm so big on the audio. I'm literally looking at my audio levels, and I really hope y'all can hear me good right now. If y'all can't, I don't know what to do. I might have to go back to the old way. But you say audio is much better. You're a local here and really know what's happening with the team. I enjoy the show, and I appreciate y'all because now this would be possible without y'all, so I really appreciate it. But this comment right says, every one of your videos requires 5 volume up clicks to level you with other YouTubers. That's what we were all trying to tell you yesterday. It wasn't a yesterday only issue. Okay, and that's perfectly fine. So that'll be something I definitely look out for. Going into a lot of my videos, I didn't realize the audio was that bad over time. So that's definitely something I'll look out for sure. Next comment says, really excited to watch this roster go out and compete next year. Will be the most fun Grizzly season since 2023. A couple of moves that I think will be home run swings. Find a truly starting point guard. A couple of targets that I think can fit our team and timeline. Casey Wallace and Jalen Suggs. Suggs will fit into our TPE from Jaren, and I think will be fun to watch with this group. Casey seems ready for a bigger role, and I think he'd be loved in Memphis. This will allow Jerome to come off the bench, which is where I think he is best. I mean, I'm not against that. I'm really not against that. I'm not against the idea of Jalen Suggs. I do have my concerns when it comes to Jalen Suggs, but I can definitely see how you could add him into the mix. Casey Wallace as well. It's been a while since Casey Wallace has truly played point guard, so that'd be my main thing. I know he played it in college for a bit, but as far as being the starting point guard, I don't know. I mean, not saying I'm against it. I literally don't know how that's gonna look. So I'm keeping an open mind about it. And then your second part of your comment says get a third big. Big men get hurt more than any other position group, and we need a guy to step in and be the backup when either your Stewart goes down. I'm thinking Musa Cisse from Dallas potentially, but there are several options here. Could even be our two-way guy, Carson Cooper. Yeah, I think ultimately they're probably going to stick with the two-way guy, especially if Carson Cooper continues to look nice. Like I said, that first game he looked really good, really athletic, really good moving around the court offensively and defensively. Not against the idea of Musa Cisse. I just don't think, maybe he's the answer. And that's not me saying like, oh, Musa Cisse is bad or anything like that. You got to think about it. I watched the guy in college when he was here at University of Memphis. So really good defender and things like that. I just haven't really seen him play on the NBA court lately. I think I remember seeing it when he first played for like the Mavericks and things like that. So overall, I definitely do think the Grizzlies are ultimately going to get a third big man, and they probably will use a two-way slot for that. So definitely something to keep in mind. Next comment, with the Grizzlies below the cap minimum, they will have to sign someone to a deal or bring in someone to get above the minimum. So it's more to come for sure. Absolutely for sure. And then the last comment right here is an interesting one. You low-key look like Brandon Ingram. You know what? That is a first. I'm gonna be real. That is a first. I usually get like Malcolm X or something. So I appreciate it. I don't really know what to say there, but that's gonna wrap it this edition of Grizzlies Daily. I really appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you're notified when the next video comes out. And if you're listening to us on our podcast, Spotify, appreciate y'all, and make sure to give us a follow. Really helps the channel out. As this is Grizzlies Daily, I will see y'all in tomorrow's video where we will recap the next Summer League game, which is happening tonight against the Utah Jazz. So it'll be Cam Boozer versus Darren Peterson. Definitely going to be a fun one to watch. Can't appreciate y'all enough, and I will see y'all in tomorrow's video.